What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Guilherme of the Almighty Dieth. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me, man. What's up?
Yeah, not much, man, not much. It's so awesome to have you here, especially with your new album, To Hell and Back. It's absolutely killer from start to finish. For people who haven't heard the full album yet, though, do you feel that the first singles that we heard so far, To Hell and Back, Don't Get Mad, Get Even, and In the Hall of Hanging Serpents, is that a good representation of this entire album, or is that just scratching the surface of what's to come?
Man, actually that is a good representation, but at the end of the day, I believe that we opened the scope of this album pretty much. We still have more brutal tunes, and we have some other things that we have done that I think that expresses a lot the directions that this band is taking. We've done some. I don't want to spoil this right now because we have something coming up this month, but we experimented with more vocal ideas. Because somehow my voice and David's voice, they're very different, but they fit together in studio. And we did some, harmonies and different things that I think people are not expecting to hear, but they are in the album, and they fit with the concept of the album. They sound heavy, they sound trash, they sound deaf, but different.
Yeah, I would say it's a smorgasbord of heavy. I think it goes all along the lines of people who love the most aggressive sides of music, whether it will be death or thrash or black or even like some hardcore elements I even see thrown in there too.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, it's like if you get a let's say if you get entombed, for example, people love, they have they're the milestone of the whole death metal thing. Even they invented the death metal, the Swedish death metal sound. They are one of the pioneers on that. And then you have a lot of rock and roll elements, and a lot of people in the West, especially, I've seen a lot of stoners and hardcore fans going to the entombed gigs. So you open the scope because you're just making music, and then you gain more people that start to relate with that songs. And I think on Diet, somehow this is happening too naturally, because when you combine our styles, you create something new that it's opening the doors for all these. So yeah, I would say hardcore for sure. Some thrash metals. We have some stoner vibes there, plus these vocal lines that we have worked on. And if you get like pretty much if you get like early Metallica, like I'm a huge fan of Ride the Lightning, for example. So the album is like blasting, and then you have Fade to Black that open a whole new atmosphere there, and it works, man. It's a slower song, it's a cleaner song, but it's still sad, it's still heavy, it's still you know carries a lot of atmosphere with it. So I believe we're on this path here, right?
Definitely. You led me perfectly into the next question I wanted to ask you, because with all of you having fairly impressive resumes in the world of metal, was the intention to maybe combine elements of Megadeth, Attitudes and Altitudes, with Crow and Entombed AD and Night of the World and Pagan Forest, etc., or were you all trying to step into uncharted territory that you never explored in your previous projects?
Well, man, actually, there's a little bit of both. Because, for example, one of the songs that we've made that we're going to release this month, it's a song that I always wanted to do. It's the kind of thing that I hear a lot, and that I wanted to explore this territory. But in my other setups, I never had the opportunity because simply doesn't fit there. So on Crow and Entombed, and even on Decapitated with Mihal, it doesn't fit for him to have a song like the one we're going to release this month. And then this was something new that we were like, no, man, I want to do it. And with this band, we have the space to do this, because we're building our own concept. We don't have to follow any formula right now, and we don't want to. In the other hand, it's really cool to bring our baggage and our luggage as musicians and put there as a reference for people to have, a little bit of if you hear a little bit of Megadeth there, it's like, it's great, why not? So if you hear a little bit of Entombed on a song, it's great, why not? And same thing with Mihal, people love his blasts, his drumming, his crazy fills, and his bass drum that it's crazy on point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a song there called The Mark of Cain, that we have a verse that I just put a chord there and some arrangements, and I told Mihal, like, dude, bless these drums, like, I want to hear all of your double bass drum on full potential. put blast beats there and all the feels you can you can have, and it worked.
Yeah.
So I believe that we're combining both things.
Yeah, you are definitely doing that. I think you all combine your talents together, but at the same time, I don't hear a repeat of Anti Cult or Blood Mantra. I don't hear a repeat of Bowels of the Earth, and I don't hear a repeat of Countdown to Extinction or Rust in Peace or anything like that. So it almost seems like we are seeing sides of you that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. But if you have any reference, that if you say like, okay, man, this bass drums here, sounds like a guy that played this kind of music on that kind of band. I think this is a positive thing because people can relate to.
Definitely. Definitely. How different of like a creative mindset, because you're a very prolific artist. Even with the Entombed AD Association, people know you from Crow, and I know that you played the Metal Against Coronavirus, which was pretty awesome as well. So like with every project that you've
Yeah.
been involved with, is it a completely different creative mindset in a way, or is there a method behind the madness that almost kind of applies to everything?
No, but it's a totally different mindset because for each project that you enter, I think you have to pay a lot of attention for the texture and its texture and for the style. It's not style the right word, man, but you have to pay attention for the aesthetics of the sound, of the music. And as I told you, it didn't make sense on Crow to write a song like "Walk with Me Forever." It just didn't fit. But I have that on me. So, for example, a really cool project that I've done that it's one of the ones I'm most proud of is that during the pandemic we've done a collab. Me, Igor Cavalera, Moises from Crisium, Prica from Nervosa, and another guy from Brazil called Castor. We did a song in Portuguese, but and we mixed like a lot of old punk hardcore elements with some grindcore, old Napalm Death stuff. You know what Look Up does sometimes,
Yeah.
and we mixed all of that, and we put João Gordo from Ratos de Porão to sing a lyric in Portuguese that expressed a lot that moment. Later I can show you this song. It blew up the internet there in Brazil and stuff. And for this song, for example, I had a totally different thought, because I thought like, if I want a Igor here, I want him to put his touch on the music, and then I have to sound a little bit more um, towards this side of the project. But in the other hand, I wanted to sound rough and grindcore and stuff. And even the way we recorded it was super rough, man. I didn't want to produce it a lot, so the guitars sound like, you know.
Well, I mean, I gotta tell you, with the collaboration with you and Sepultura and Crisium and Nervosa, I mean, that's the most brutal fucking super group I've ever seen. I could just picture you guys doing a music video in Kanjuru and just owning the fucking place.
Oh man, we did it, and it was in 2020, and when I was doing this song, I was talking to Prica because she's my a big friend and big partner, and Moises from Crisium too. We're close friends for decades now. And when I've done the riffs and I've done the song and I wrote the text that would be the lyrics. When I sent to them, everybody said yes immediately, and I told Moises to make one riff in the song so we could have his riff in the music. I wanted to sound like him playing. And when we finished the demo here, I told the guys like, man, I only release this song if we put Igor Cavalera on it because it just makes sense if it's him on the drums. And when we released this on the internet, like boom, dude, in like I don't know 1 hour we had almost 100,000 views, and we were on Rolling Stone Brazil, and a lot of people from the old rockers from the country like Arnaldo from Mutantes, Mutantes, the classic band. They're famous in the US actually too. They're one of the first Brazilian psychedelic rock bands, and they toured the US and stuff. And this guy posted like, okay, now I started to like rock and metal again, and then I was like, that blew up. It's really cool, this kind of collab when it works. I'm proud. This one is one I'm super proud of.
Definitely, it's a kick-ass collaboration. And with the formation of Dieth, was it almost kind of like you guys were seeking each other out because you best suited the material to play, or were like you all kind of just like sitting in a room together and it just kind of like happened out of nowhere, like a very organic sort of like, oh, let's start a band?
No, man. Actually, this is a long story, but it's like to try to make it short. After LG passed, I had like a huge, man, he passed a little bit before we even had vaccines, for the pandemic and stuff. So, the whole world collapsed, and then I lost one of my best friends, and together with that, you lose your job, you lose your identity, and the whole thing that comes with getting out of a funeral, it's something quite heavy. So I kind of got lost, man. I quit playing guitar for the rest of the year. I stopped. I couldn't get a guitar and enjoy it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I was trying to come back from this dark place where I was. I tried to put Crow back together again, and it didn't work. It's trying to come back to your past, and it just didn't work. To put it like this. And then I got some of the songs, and I remember that Mihal, since he left Decapitated, he didn't come back to play in a band. He was really in a bad mood, and he said he didn't want to do anything with music. He just wanted to practice drums every day. And then I have a really close friend that it's his friend too. I called him in Poland and I said, dude, can you connect me with this guy? Are you sure he doesn't want to have a band anymore? And he said, yeah. I said, no, I want this guy. Mm-hmm. Because if he says yes, it's going to be for the right reason, And so I was going all philosophical with my life back then, but it's true. And then when I called Mihal, he told me like, yeah, man, send me the songs, but I will touch the drums only if I like the songs. If I don't, not even if you pay me, I'll do it. And then I said, no, yeah, that's the guy. I want him. And then for the bass player, we were looking for a bass player, and I was going to talk to a friend of mine from Dimo Borgir, or maybe Toby from Grave, which is a guy that I really like, and I like Victor from Dimo a lot. They're really close friends from my Swedish era there. And I was talking to Martin from Destruction, and he said, man, David just got out of Megadeth, contact him. Maybe he says yes. And we had, do you know that band Dead by Wednesday in the US?
I interviewed them. Great guys.
Yeah, they're great guys, right? Yeah. And then Opus, he played with, he knows Martin for a long time, and he played with David too. And then Opus connected us on an email, and David said like, okay, send me the tracks. If I like it, we can move on. This could be cool. And then I sent him in the Hall of the Hanging Serpents demo. And he answered me, okay, man, this is really good. Let me record the bass and see where we get at. And once we heard the mix, this mix that it's on the video, then the guys hit me up and they said like, man, what the fuck? What are you doing? And I said, no, dude, I know this sounds super good. Let's do something more. And then David told me like, okay, send me more songs. Let's see where we get. And then it started, man, So it was quite organic. I think we wanted just to make a collab thing and exchange some tracks. We were doing nothing because it was when Omicron broke last year. Remember that they closed a little bit again until March. Yeah, it was on this period. And then, but I think that the music was the element that speak louder here, we all liked the songs, and our stories connected because, David knew my story. He knew about me, and, we were like, man, this is the perfect match,
Well, it seems like all three of you were also coming out of like fairly similar circumstances. When there's like a collaborative effort, there's maybe like one member who got kicked out of a band, and then like two other guys who, just started a project for the hell of it. It almost seemed like, and I'm not trying to make light of, the tragic situation that you were going through and everything like that, but it almost seemed like you were all in like uncertain mindsets at that time, and it just seems like from one minute you having to overcome a tragedy like that, and then one person didn't want to even be in a band anymore, and then Dave, after a long history of Megadeth, is not there anymore. So it almost seemed like you all it seems like the stars kind of aligned for all three of you guys, where you were all in the sort of like same emotional headspace.
Yeah, man, and we had this conversation in between us once we've met, because for example, one of the reasons that coming back with my other bands or other projects didn't work out is just that I felt on myself, when you put your head on the pillow, who are you talking to, right?
Yeah.
And every time I was going to bed, I was like, man, I need to do things for the right reason. This is not the right reason, And then with Dieth, we were doing for the right reason, to do something new, to move on, to come back, and to do songs that can inspire people, like these songs are inspiring us, So I think that's why it's so strong.
Definitely. I wanted to talk a little bit about your lyrical process in a way too, because I mean, I think with the aggressive vocals that you've always demonstrated, it's really a force to be reckoned with. I think you have a very signature style, but when it comes to the lyrical aspects, has there ever been a lyrical idea that helped guide the sound of the music in a way, or have you always needed the music before you came up with lyrics?
Man, actually, it can happen both ways. But sometimes I have an idea and I just go and type like two phrases and I save it. And then later on, I start to develop the story and so on, you know? And, uh, um, and then sometimes I write a lot of riffs and then I go in my folder here and I say, like, for example, I see like to Hell and Back, and I had that riff, and then this to Hell and Back, I thought, oh, this is gonna match great because the song has this atmosphere and then these lyrics, and then you start combining things. And one of the most interesting that happened was when David sent me "Don't Get Mad, Get Even." I had that song almost ready, you know, to go, almost good to go. Was all the riffs were written, even the solos. I think I have tracked something already. And when David sent me "Don't Get Mad, Get Even," man, the riff. When he sent me the title of the document with the lyric, and I was doing this song, I thought like, man, this matches so well. I just read it and I was like, no, don't get mad, get even. This is here. It's this song. So you know, you kind of once you start producing and writing and exchanging files, I think you enter in a mood that you connect with this. I don't know, with this environment. You know, you start seeing that things match. You know, it's like when you go do something like a physical activity, you know, before you start it, it looks super difficult, but once you warm up, you do that automatically, right?
Yeah.
So you start to, yeah, so it's more or less that, you know?
Yeah. When it comes to like the lyrical subject matter or even just the energy that you're channeling into your music, is it always coming from an internal source or is there a lot of external sources of inspiration as well?
Man, I've used a lot of external sources as inspiration, but for this album, it's all internal sources. And I think that this is another thing that I've been searching for a long time, and it didn't fit so much on my other setups. And then on this one, it fits 100% well, you know. So this one is from internal sources, and I feel much better, man. Because even when I was in studio, um, to to sing that lyrics that has a meaning personally for me was much easier, much better, and cooler to do, you know, than to just talk about external sources. Because of course the environment is always going to influence your life. But then I think that when you talk about yourself or your experiences there in a way to build a storytelling, it for me it's been more rewarding. You know, I liked it a lot.
And this could maybe be just overthinking the hell out of this collaboration, but like you're from Brazil, you got a member in Europe, and you got a member in North America. You should really get a member
Yeah.
in Asia and Australia and Africa, and really like take over the world.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean that is awesome. You're all in different time zones. You're all in different continents. But that I'd imagine does that at all maybe add flavor to the music in a way?
No, and it adds because I was living in Stockholm before, and right after LG died, then I officially moved from Sweden. So now I live in Portugal. I'm in Lisbon, which you know, Portugal is really close to Brazil, culture-wise and stuff. We're Portuguese in a lot of ways, and I love it. So at the end of the day, I stayed in Europe, you know. But yeah, it adds flavor to the music because I think that nowadays I have a broader vision of music, you know. And when if I talk about sadness and cold and darkness, I've experienced enough of that in Scandinavia, you know. So I have my share, and but it's cool, man. When you talk about something that you can feel, you know. I think that nowadays I can feel that a darkness and dark in Swedish is mörk, mörk they say. So now I can feel that, you know. Before I could read about it, I could watch movies,
You,
but now I lived that thing, you know.
you
And
I was
yeah, it's crazy.
I was just gonna say you should get you should force Michael to live in Brazil and force David to live in Poland and see if like it all comes in a circle. All of you experience different cultures or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, man. And David, it's super fun, man, because David is in Arizona, you know, and every time we bring him to record something in Poland, I tell him, David, man, I checked the weather. it's gonna be cool this week. And then with the last video, I swear, man, was the start of the spring in Gdansk. And it was, like for Europe it's cool. It was like 15 degrees and stuff, sunny. Dude, when David's plane landed, in 2 hours started to snow and it was really bad weather. And he was talking exactly about that. He was like, man, now I understand the sadness of some places,
you know,
because, he was in Arizona and stuff,
yeah.
and then he landed there. And then, snow, man, everybody sad, everybody pissed.
Oh, I
And
would
so,
love it. I was in Sweden last year for the first time. I went to Stockholm during the rolling.
it's great, yeah.
It was like my Disneyland trip. It was the best trip I've ever had in my life. But like everybody,
Yeah.
but like all like the locals were telling me, you don't want to live here in the winter, dude. I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, no.
I'm sick of the fucking
No, man, you don't.
the
I
fucking
used to say the same.
the humidity in New York City. Fuck that shit. And I feel like I'm drinking the air every time I walk out my door. I would rather deal with a Swedish winter than a New York humid weather.
Oh man, yeah, no, you're in New York, yeah. So it's cold, juice. I don't know how to advocate from your side
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but yeah, Stockholm is a brilliant town, man. I was lucky to meet some special people there, and I had my share in Sweden. I hate the winter, but it's a good place. So if you're used to the coldness and darkness and stuff, it's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Like I said, get a fourth or fifth member, have one of them be from Australia, and have another one in like Japan or something like that, and then really add to the mix.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna be like a world music, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly. I have two more questions for you. I have two more questions for
Yeah.
you. But in order to get that creative energy and to get that inspiration to write, whether it would be for vocals or for guitars, do you almost look for the inspiration or does it tend to strike you?
It happens both ways. I think it strikes you when you look for it, because writing songs, I think it's a habit, and it's something that it demands a lot of energy and a lot of practice. So as much as you practice, as much as you put yourself into it, the more inspired you get, and the more inspired you get, the more you want to practice it. So I think it's like a snowball. It's a process. It's a process. I've seen that documentary about the Eagles, because Hotel California for me is one of the best guitar solos ever in music history. And I don't remember if it was Joe Walsh that said that or one of the other guys there that they were struggling with songwriting at a point, and then they said like keep writing songs because eventually you're gonna write a good one. And then they came up with Hotel California and it blew up the
Yeah, I
the
mean,
whole world. So I think that's true.
yeah, I think that song is just a musical Yelp review, but like in the end, it is a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, like for guitarists, 99% of the guitarists I talk to, they love that song because there's a lot of different chords, there are harmonies. You go to a lot of fields, and the solo there is something that if you want to practice some elements on technique, it's really good for you to listen to that song and go into that. So it's an interesting match there. So Hotel California, I used that to study a lot, and then I've seen this interview and it stayed in my mind. Like keep writing music, and then eventually you're gonna write a good one.
Yeah. And you led me perfectly into the final question because being both a vocalist and a guitarist, do you express a similar side of yourself with both forms of instrumentation, or is there is like are they completely separate in a way? Like, can you express yourself with guitar that you couldn't on a lyrical standpoint, and vice versa?
Man, I can tell you, like, for the past few years, I've been playing only as a guitarist and backing vocals. And now that I came back to play and sing, I think I express myself better to the full potential. So I believe that both they have different roles, but when they are together, at least in my case, I feel more complete. Like putting myself into my full potential. So it's really cool. But of course, when you just play guitar, you express yourself in a way. If you just sing in another way, if you play and sing, it's a totally different game. Especially physically, because now I can't afford to go play, Hangover or something like that, because physically it requires you a lot, to play and sing.
Yeah.
You have to perform like an athlete, actually.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, there's a reason why everybody in the Big Four of thrash had shoulder surgery. So
Shoulder, yeah, yeah. I had my back problems already, so I really know what's the deal, you know.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're still young. You got this.
No, I got this, man. I got this. I already fixed it at the gym, so
There you
I'm
go.
gonna avoid the surgery for sure.
There you go. So
Yeah.
before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time, and most of all, thank you for this amazing album. Is there just anything else that you'd like to promote for Dieth with the release of the new album in terms of tours, or what else we could be expecting if you're allowed to say at this time, of course?
Man, I'm still not allowed to say because we're in between booking a lot of stuff. But I'm sure we're gonna hit the US anytime soon. I can't guarantee if it's this year or next year, but we already have some options. We got offers for tours in Europe, and now we're gonna do the European festivals. We have selected ones that we're gonna do to start the whole engine. So yeah, keep in touch. Write us, tag us on social media, follow us there, and we will come with a lot of news anytime soon.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Dieth. Be sure to check out To Hell and Back coming out this June. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.